Hey Cal fans, this is Burke18 with a bye-week breakdown here on California Golden Blogs, and in this week's video, I'm previewing the offense of the Oregon Ducks. Last week against Stanford, Oregon's Justin Herbert had a great game statistically. He completed almost 80% of his passes for 346 yards and a touchdown, and he ran for 35 yards on top of that. So let's see how he did it and take a look at the matchups that'll matter most this Saturday. Based on the Ducks' performance last Saturday against Stanford, this isn't a passing offense that does much to fool you. Barring mental lapses and coverage busts by the back seven, defending Oregon's going to be more about execution and winning our individual matchups than it will be about scheme. In last Saturday's game, Oregon especially loved to isolate their receivers on Stanford's cornerbacks to the outside. On this play, for example, we see Stanford playing with an off cornerback at the top of the screen, and when Oregon sees this, they're going to run their slot receiver deep to hold any inside help defenders, and then they're going to attack that cornerback with a curl underneath. This is the single most common completion that Oregon got on Saturday, and it was a staple of their offense. When Stanford's cornerbacks showed press, as Cal's probably will for much of the game, Oregon looked a little bit less comfortable but ultimately stayed with this matchup, testing Stanford's cornerbacks on a few occasions down the sidelines. On Saturday, this wasn't a deadly option against Stanford, and I expected DeRuyter to be happy to let Oregon try to win the game with throws like this against our secondary. These throws to the outside targeting the cornerbacks were Oregon's bread and butter, but for big plays, the slot is the position to keep your eye on. Against Stanford, Oregon liked to use a trips formation with the inside receivers stacked, and from here they used quick switches to take advantage of Stanford's leverage and assignments. On this play, for example, Oregon ran the on-the-line receiver immediately to the inside, while the off-the-line player worked outside of him into the seam. Stanford's trying to defend this by pressing the on-the-line receiver with outside leverage and then playing with the second defender off into the inside of the stack. As we see here, the press player is running with the inside breaking route, and the other defenders lined up well to the inside, which puts him at a disadvantage against the outside breaking vertical route. If Oregon's going to get big plays against our secondary, it's going to come on plays like this, which will stress the assignment and technique of whichever safety is playing to this side of the formation. On long yardage situations, Oregon also had success attacking the coverage of the linebackers to the inside. On this play, Stanford's going with a split safety coverage, and in coverages like this, the middle of the field is going to be a big weakness, and it's going to be up to the linebackers to stay inside of the slot receivers and to deny them the middle of the field. On this play, however, we see that the receiver is able to get over the top of that linebacker and into the middle, which Herbert exploits for a nice pickup. That said, Herbert is throwing a little bit more than an interception a game, and if Oregon wants to work the middle of the field like this, it could be risky for them with these linebackers floating there in the middle of the field. With all that said about the passing game, the quarterback in the run game is still an incredibly important part of Oregon's offense, whether Herbert's running the ball himself or is just occupying defenders to open up space for the running back. Something interesting that Oregon will do is they'll run zone read style plays out of pro personnel groupings. Here, for example, they're running a zone read with two tight ends in the game. Notice here how these two tight ends create extra gaps and force Stanford to play with 7 defenders to the right of the backside end. As we run the play forward, we see that Oregon has great angles to seal off all 7 of those players to the right, isolating this defensive end in a very tough spot on the edge. On this play, Oregon's running a zone read with a tight end and a fullback in the game, but watch how the fullback comes across the formation as if he's going to kick out the defensive end, but then releases past him as a personal protector for the quarterback on the zone read. Oregon's zone read game killed us last year, and so I'll be excited to watch this matchup to see if our defensive coordinator and players have really learned and improved since that point. And with that, that's all I've got for this video. For more Pac-12 content, including a longer breakdown of Oregon's defense against Stanford, be sure to check out my site at patreon.com/Burke18. And until next week, go Bears!